Alright, so, second video I'm going to put up on the channel here. Had another quite exciting game a couple of days ago. I'm going to go ahead and just start from the beginning. I'll try to times two through the slow bits, but it was a fairly interesting game. I'm going to do a similar thing to what I did last game, is sort of give the perspective of the game from how I was feeling and thinking while I was playing it. So to start, very first thing in the loading screen and the lobby screen, you notice that the entire enemy team has some sort of a Chinese scripted name, so no idea who they are, so I'm just going to call them by their color. But yeah, generally, like being an RTS player, when you see people with Asian names in the lobby, that does tend to make your heart skip a beat, because of course we all know the stereotype that Asians are really good at clicking fast. So whether or not that's correct, I do try to bring my A game when the prospect of an intercontinental grudge match presents itself. So of course, at the start of the game, I am here on the French as the teal player. Gonna start scouting around looking for sheep. Here on the Holy Roman Empire is my buddy in the purple, lowercase letters. He's in the pocket. On the right-hand side, we have Werder, the green Chinese player. On the eastern side here, we're gonna go ahead and reveal the rest of the map and go take a look at what the enemies are doing. We've got the red French player. He's, putting up a house, starting on the gold, doing more or less the same build that I'm doing, actually, which is just skipping wood at the beginning, going with sheep and getting wood, because nope, no, he's going for a lumber camp, actually. Okay, so this is interesting. We have 7 on sheep, or just 6 on sheep, 2 on gold, 1 on wood, 1 on gold. The yellow Chinese player is currently going for a similar build to what his partner is. Hey, we got 1 distance berry picker, 3 on sheep, 4 on sheep, 2 on wood, 2 on gold. Our Roos player, which was actually doing quite good. This doesn't really surprise me. What surprises me, he's got a gold miner. I know the Roos don't really need to take gold at the beginning, so he's going heavy into wood now. Probably because he tends on taking the water, which I do as well. However, I went ahead and got my food and gold harvesting underway first before I started throwing villagers onto the wood line. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the fog of war back on. And we'll increase the speed here until something happens. Everybody's just kind of getting the lay of the land. I do scout the middle pond, and I see a lot of fish around here, and a nice little alcove for me to put my first dock. So I'm running around grabbing sheep, but I'm also going to throw a dock in this little corner here so I can start fishing. And I'm going to age up at about 4 minutes, or start aging up at about 4 minutes with the School of Cavalry. Big surprise. We've got 5 on wood, 3 on food here, 4 on gold, and we've got 4 villagers out to take a hunt. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep putting vills on gold, because my intention is to consistently pump out knights out of 2 buildings here, while also saving up to get the castle eventually. And these woodcutters will be enough to continuously produce finishing boats. You see a little bit of action on the eastern side of the map, as Red has sent some knights to go and screw around with China. And, doing alright. Whereas China's TC's got that nice gun on it. That's a little spooky. French player getting a little bit aggressive there. We have a couple of spearmen out. TC does a good job of defending those villagers that are going to clear out the... He's opting to go with farms now, which I guess he was floating a bunch of wood, so why not? And they're safe because they're underneath that TC, so if he's worried about the knights coming back, that means that maybe he can save some resources instead of building extra spearmen. We have the pocket player, Holy Roman Empire. It has a few prelates out, just kind of minding their own business. A good handful of spears and archers. Going fairly heavy on wood, probably because he is making a military, floating a decent amount of gold. And me, I am floating lots of food. I am producing knights out of 2 barracks, or 2 stables, and I do intend on going to castle as soon as I can. Which, there you go. With the guild hall going up, I still have plenty of food and gold. And you will notice that Blue has scouted my dock, and this is very unfortunate because he's going to come clean out these fishing boats here very soon. And in all honesty, I don't try to fight back because with the Rus, I mean, if I wanted to make a concerted effort to take the water, of course I could have because I was playing French, but I'm not going to be able to, like, if he can just take all of his fishing ships and turn them into attack ships and then turn them back whenever he wants to, I mean, the water's his. I'm not too worried about that. I have 3 hunts, I have a boar I can take, I have berry bushes all over the place. There's a lot of food on the map, so I'm not terrifically worried about taking back that water. So, Doc gets killed, so be it. I did accidentally build a market. That was supposed to be a town center, but it's a market. A single trader that I thought was a villager ended up coming out, so I'm going to let it continue this pathetic little trade route and see if I can get my investment back. Very high level player, by the way. We have a good amount of knights. I do have a stone wall out, but I do have knights. Team games, I generally try to build a good retinue of knights, not just because they're really great, of course, being the French. It also means that I can run them over to my allies in a decent amount of time if a green needs help on his side of the map. Hiding behind my wall, I'm going to continue to boom. I have 1 TC, a 3rd TC going up. I'm going for 3 TCs, still have 2 stables. A little bit of Idlevilles here, but overall, I got the guild hall on gold, so I'm just going to leave that in my pocket for quite a while. I like to set it to gold just in case later in the game, if I need gold and I haven't got a trade line set up, I can, you know, that'll be my contingency plan. As I'm chopping lots of wood, I have intentions on building a good deal of production structures at some point. And I'm mainly just kind of floating resources and deciding what to do. I guess the thing is at this stage of my development as an RTS player, especially for a game like Age of Empires, is that sometimes it is difficult to be decisive. I'm in a fairly safe position. I don't really know what the enemy is doing. I do know that on my side, the Russian player has gotten to the Imperial Age, so I do have some stone gatherers coming up because I do have every intention of building a keep in this area and starting a little forward base to get production going, because as you may know, the French keep's influence bonus reduces the cost of units that come out of buildings adjacent to a keep. So I try to build my military out of keep buffed buildings as much as I can. The knights are getting upgrades. I should have, we got the 3 blacksmiths coming out just to make sure that I have upgrades being researched as fast as I can. I'm not, oh yes, and I am aging up to age 4. So another reason why I have the 3 blacksmiths is that I want to catch up on the blacksmith techs as fast as I can, while also just spending all these resources that I'm getting because my economy is starting to get rather good. On the eastern side of the map, we don't actually see too much going on. It seems the French player did a little bit of harass at the beginning, but wasn't too concerned with doing too much more. We have Springolds and Knights coming out. This little keep area here, I suppose is a decent combo. The Russian player was definitely the most threatening this entire match, and you can see a couple, we got a Mangonel, a Bombard, a couple of siege units. We have a lot of cavalry archers, and then we're going to start seeing Strelski come out soon, and Strelski are really, really good. They're very cheap hand cannoneers. As far as I know, they're literally just better hand cannoneers. They're cheaper. They do more damage when they stay still for 5 or so seconds. They have the same health, they have the same range, they have the same base damage. They're superior in every way, and they're also cheaper. So if you're playing the Russians, definitely use Strelsky, because as soon as you get to the 4th age, you can start making them out of your archery ranges, and they're quite a solid unit, which we'll see soon. As soon as he starts bringing them over, they are quite threatening. And then Yellow is also going to support him with a large amount of heavy cavalry, which is going to prove to be difficult to deal with. Even though Purple does have a large army, and I have some crossbowmen coming out, I do know that crossbowmen are good versus range units. At least I've found, playing the French, that building lots of crossbows generally cost effective, especially if you're building them out of something like this. You know, 64 food, 32 gold. Even if you have to build 2 of these to kill every Strelsky, that's not too bad. They have fantastic upgrades in gambesons and crossbow stirrups. The Pavis ability, it is good. It is slightly bugged at the moment. It says it's supposed to get an additional 5 ranged armor, but you'll find that it actually just sets your ranged armor to 5. So if you have all 3 ranged armor upgrades from the barracks, or I'm sorry, the blacksmith, you'll find that when you use the Pavis upgrade, it will just set your ranged armor to 5. Which I mean, they're really good, but I'm not necessarily saying that they're unusable. Arbaletriers are fantastic as they are, but I imagine that's just a bug amongst others that needs to be fixed. We do have a Mangonel doing a little bit of work. So for a little bit, the Knights and the Arbalesters are doing their best to wipe out this large wave of cavalry. However, the Streltsies are going to come in and start laying waste. They do prove to be quite an issue. Green is fielding quite a large army on his side, and we will see him advance up shortly. Red, how Red is doing in terms of... Yeah, Red is pop-capped. Red was maybe not the most threatening player, when I think about it. He is going to age 4 now. He's building a red palace in his base here, along with a town center. Questionable placement. We have a beautiful arrangement of farms here. Yellow is already in age 4. He's doing alright. Has a lot of food, plenty of resources. He's got elite lancers, and if we take a look, does he have a blacksmith? He has not researched any blacksmith upgrades. So really, it's the Streltsy, it's the blue player we're looking at to do some damage, and he will, because Streltsies, honestly, even if they're mishandled, they're a fantastic unit. They're absolutely excellent. They're just a flat upgrade of standard hand cannoneers, which are already fairly strong units. Which again, they're stronger than normal hand cannons, but they're cheaper. And I'm not doing the absolute best at dealing with him just streaming in units like this, but I believe I'm also trying to re-macro quite quickly because I'm noticing that I need something to help with these. Just crossbowman isn't quite going to deal with it, and the military of my purple ally has definitely taken a big hit. We have a mangonel. There will be bombard cannons coming through, as well as some more reinforcing Streltsies, which as the smallest Streltsies gets larger, I can deal with it. Knights, I feel, are just going to get shredded because the Streltsy hand cannons will do quite a bit of damage despite the high armor of Knights. And Knights are also very expensive. I don't want to rip through my gold very quickly, whereas I'd rather have 3 Arbaletriers at this point as opposed to a Royal Knight. That being said, we do see more archery ranges coming out, and I will switch into horsemen soon. We got a Mangonel coming out. My ally doesn't actually tell me that he's attacking, so you'll see that the crossbowmen kind of come in late after his little army got taken out, which if we would have attacked together, it'd probably have been a lot more effective. I did hope that I was going to 2-tap this Mangonel. That sadly didn't happen. And the Streltsies get a favorable engagement on me. You can see here that the Vise doesn't do quite exactly as advertised. However, I do believe that with 5 armor, as long as the Streltsies have moved, they don't have any bonus damage from their passive, they will take an extra hit to kill my Arbalatres. So at this point, I notice that he's preoccupied with taking out, my market, my mining camps. So I'm taking advantage of the fact that he's not really pushing in my territory. I'm just trying to get upgrades for my Arbalesters and mass them up, and we should see another keep coming up soon. Yeah, the kind of singular unguarded mangonel getting a hit off, but not getting too much accomplished. On the right-hand side, green will be marching in soon. He has destroyed the Red Palace, which I imagine that was a play with some of those knights that he had sitting around. Although he's just kind of remassing, getting spears. Spears and lancers is quite a good combination against the French, I would say. As using the spears to tie up their heavy cavalry and then using your own lancers to destroy whatever auxiliary units they have available. We do see upgrades coming through, so these elite royal knights are quite formidable at this point. Although the economy and everything behind them, they're not sprawling on the map, which is, you can kind of tell like a very, very beginner player is that their little base will be a very small thing, whereas I'm a bit more bold. I like to spread it on the map. It's nice. It makes me feel good because I can see lots of stuff, and taking advantage of all the land you have is good to do. You should be developing your land. You should be expanding your economy different places. We finally see that next keep coming up. I am flailing a little bit, mostly because I've fixed my gold income issue, but now I'm running low on wood. So now I have food. So now I have 49 food gatherers, and that'll sort itself out soon. I did have to switch a bunch of villagers off of wood to food. Re-macroing, of course, is something that you have to get a feel for. These 2 royal cannons come up to do some work, and then they immediately leave because I don't think they're going to get too much accomplished if I just run them in. I do want to take out that bombard, but I don't want to get them so close that they die, because of course royal cannons, they can only produce from a single building. They take quite a while to build, and while I don't think they're more expensive than your average cannon, they're very expensive still. Cannons are an incredibly expensive siege unit, and they're very valuable, and I want to hold on to those and get some value out of them at the very least. And I'm massing out the Arbalatres, and the archery ranges are coming up. The stables are coming out as well, which is one thing I learned from this match, is that French horsemen are great. They're excellent with the free attack upgrades. They don't have necessarily any unique techs, except their royal bloodlines tech that you can get from the university, which I should have a university hanging around here somewhere, right there. So the royal bloodlines increasing the health of your cavalry by 35% does buff the horseman as well, and it does lend itself to be a great upgrade. In the blacksmith, we have max attack upgrades. Still need to get that final armor upgrade for both range and melee. Green has built a wall, and he is holding himself up on his side of the map. However, we do see that he is about to get 2v1 soon. He will feel the wrath of yellow and red, who, in spite of their relatively, I mean, they're definitely not as high skilled as their blue teammate. You kind of see the same thing, where it's me and blue, and we have our 2 allies who are not necessarily awful, but they're not the most experienced players. You can kind of tell by some of the decisions they make. So green being under fire by 2 civs, I mean, having to take out 2 max population armies is still quite hard. I mean, we have maxed out 2 armies of maxed out horsemen, and we have springolds and some nest of bees, clock tower nest of bees no less. And on my side, one thing that's nice is that yellow stopped reinforcing with knights. It's kind of just me versus blue, along with purple coming in every once in a while to send in some reinforcements. My trade is going strong. So now that the horsemen are coming out, they're veteran upgraded. I have their upgrades coming in, but of course, it does take time. Generally, though, having 190 health versus versus Strelskys is that Strelskys do a lot of damage, so armor is almost irrelevant. You really just need something that's very cheap with a lot of hit points. And not only are veteran horsemen's cheap, they have a lot of hit points, and they even do a little bit of bonus damage versus ranged. So there you go. They're really perfect for just running down hand cannons. Even if they do die, I mean they cost less than a singular. They cost less than even a Streltsy, which is already a fairly cost-effective unit for how strong it is. And then also, it just buys time for the Arbaletriers to get some shots off, who at this point are fully upgraded and are doing 22 damage a shot with a fairly quick attack speed. So even though they do less damage per shot, they're resistant to their counters and you know, enemy melee units getting up close to them, and they're also have like a great fire rate. So Strelsky has a 2-second attack speed. Arbaletriers is about 25% faster than them. Oh, Strelskys are still just way better, but the Arbalester just costs a lot less resources when you build them for the right building. Because Blue is now getting outmassed, he's taking a lot of damage from these mangonels, which just means that when they do get to the Arbaletrier mass, they are melting a little bit faster. And we're going to see the turning point where this wall, this little gap in the wall, we're going to start pushing past it, because not only doesn't have Yellow's help, our coordinated push here is going to start getting some ground back. Blue's base, we do see that he has a fairly well-developed base. I mean, he's got range upgrades, he's got the high armory. Looks like he's just kind of building out a one siege workshop. Let's see how many resources he has. He's floating 10,000 wood, which, I mean, floating wood as a Roost player, I imagine, happens quite a bit. He's a little low on gold. We don't see any trade here, do we? Okay. Alright. He does have fishing boats out. As you can see, they got to Imperial Age much faster than everyone else, and got quite an impressive army of Strelskys out. He's not handling his horse archers as well as he can. He just stopped building Strelskys, and I imagine that's just because he's running low on gold. Whereas I didn't really rely too much on gold for my army at a certain point. I was able to buy time to build up some siege, and just using the incredibly cost-effective late-game military of the French. I mean, we have elite horsemen out. They should be fully upgraded. If we look up the... Yes, we have all the barracks. We have all the blacksmith armor upgrades. We have royal bloodlines. So these horsemen can take like a little over 6 shots from these Strelskys, while also doing fairly respectable damage, like 29 damage a hit to them. Being followed up by elite Arbaletriers, which can defend against horse archers quite effectively, and do good damage to the Streltsys. So anything, honestly, at this point that the Holy Roman Emperor player brings is just, it's just butter. It's gravy. He's going to come grab that relic to try some more Wololo nonsense, as I do know that Lowercase is a fan of making use of that conversion field. Even if he doesn't necessarily get a big value convert, what it does is it really is, it just forces the enemy to make a move. They have to leave, essentially. And normally when my army stops moving like this, it's because I am paying attention to something else. I'm keeping the trade coming out. I'm macroing up. I'm making sure that I have the resources available to make a push. And we do hear that green is now fending off a coordinated assault from yellow and red. Knowing that, I mean, fending off 2 players as yourself is tough. And I'm not going to get there in time to help him, and I know that Purple already has his army here, so at this point I'm spurred into action. I know that we need to do something. The horsemen come in. They're actually doing quite a bit of damage. The crossbows are doing quite a bit of damage. We have siege, just a little bit of siege. I don't have a lot of population room for these. We'll see Purple bring in more siege engines as time goes on, which is great. His production structures seem to mostly be up front. He didn't take the double time ability. But yeah, now he's starting to get some, he's starting to lose momentum. And the thing about Streltsies is, I mean, they're really tough, but they're still range units. So if you don't get that death ball of them, they're not very good at just, well, yeah, anything really in a game like this. You need to have like a mass of them in order for them to have an effect. You can't just chip away at an enemy army, because I mean, there's enough here that if you produced a unit out of every single one of these buildings, they would instantly die. And the buildings aren't even going to last very long. We will see blue pull up a bunch of villagers to the front. They are going to create a keep right at the top of this hill, which, well, we'll go into that a little bit later. On the right-hand side of the map, we will see that green has been forced to double back behind his wall and start massing up and waiting for something to happen. Biding his time while yellow is getting ready to do quite a concerted push. We have a large amount of stables and siege workshops being built forward, and red is... Where's red's production? Okay, alright. So red is not taking advantage of his keep bonus as he could. And he is floating a fair amount of, like, he's floating enough stone that he could use that, right? I'm building another forward base here. I know that we're marching into blue's territory, and I have no idea what's back there because he walled in at the beginning of the game. And so I did not really get the lay of the land of what was going on there, and we do see Mangonel coming out. Let's take a look at blue's economy. 88 economy units. Little low in food. Not really taking advantage of the free water as I suppose he could. He has given up on producing fishing boats here. He's gathering up his stone. Still got plenty of wood. My horsemen do come up to try to disrupt this keep building procedure. The siege is starting to do damage on the keep, and the crossbowmen are coming up to provide supporting fire. Although they are just kind of stomping at the castle and shooting that, which, fair enough. I mean, the horsemen are doing an okay damage of wiping out these blue units up here. Once the keep is up, I was thinking that I was going to break apart this gate and move through it, and yeah, you will find this is an interesting thing apparently to do with these hills, is that I'm attack walking the units over the walls, but my units are not responding the way I expect them to. They're walking away, and even when they are in range, which you can see they're firing sometimes, even when I have them stop up here, they won't shoot the enemies over there. Like these range, 6.5 tile range, 6. Alright, so I guess they have a slightly longer range, but... yeah, the horse archers are, they are good. And the terrain, see, these guys are within range, but they're just not firing back. There is something quirky going on with how this area is working. However, luckily, my purple ally has opted to not go that way, and he's starting to wrap around the left. So I am holding him back. I'm producing enough units back here that I can run them up and not have to worry about blue being able to break through. But there is a bit of an issue of... oh, horse archers... horse archers are trash units, really? Oh, 22. They do the same damage as the crossbows. Less the bonus. They have a similar attack speed. But they move much faster. And they have more hit points. Oh, that's cool. I don't know. I won't say it's like overpowered or anything. I think I think there's a lot of things about the rustler are good that have nothing to do with horse archer, but... yeah, that is actually quite strong. However, they're not very strong when they stay still and they get hit by mangonels, and they're being wrapped around by fully upgraded spearmen here. And I have also found out how to move down this cliff. after destroying the wall. You kind of have to spam click. It's a little, seen as still. They're bunching up to attack the high armory, but now that there's no units and everything, you can kind of just move and force your units through. These keeps got a lot of production structures around them. And I should be keeping them busy. Oh, we got another keep going up here on the right-hand side. We're going to watch over here because you know what's going to happen on my side, but over here, Green's got quite a bit to deal with. These spears are fighting valiantly versus this entirely cavalry-focused army, and we can see, look at this mess. Oh my goodness, all these knights are just coming in and really, this is a knight mosh pit here. This is absolute nonsense. Green is steadily resupplying his line, which is good. Those heavy cavalry not pushing through, opting to surround this clod of green units and try to take them out. We do have siege that are under threat, but the knights aren't really worried about the siege. They're attacking the other knights. The nest of bees, of course, is a very, very strong unit, but not necessarily versus heavy cavalry, which are quite quick, and they have quite a few hit points as well. On this side, I mean, blue doesn't recover. I'll just spoil that. At this point, he's lost his momentum. He has no food, essentially. He has quite a few gatherers. He did not max out his bonus, which is very disappointing to see. I don't think that there are any... Well, okay, the boar's dead. Just wondering, like, what the... Yeah, I guess he just didn't... You know what the issue is? Is this Roost player, a big mistake he did? He walled himself off right here. He didn't go out of his way like he could have to max out that bonus, because I'm sure that there is at least a boar or something around the map that he could have picked off to really get that bonus working for him, get that average food, get that extra food harvest rate, and buff up his hunting cabins, which I'm not even sure if he has a lot of hunting cabins. No, so blue, I mean, blue obviously wasn't playing to all of his strengths. However, he did prove to be somewhat of a threatening ally. Oh, so here we go. We got one hunting cabinet, which is making... $45 gold a minute. Not too bad. He did get to the Imperial Age very quickly, and he did do a pretty good timing push, especially combined with yellow. However, once he got past my wall, he was very indecisive. He kind of just attack walked them and spent a lot of time shooting, which, you know, hand cannons do a lot of damage, but buildings have 50 ranged armor. So he was pretty much just chunking away very, very slowly at, you know, my mining camp, my market, and not really getting a whole lot accomplished. When he could have honestly just walked past there and absolutely started decimating my economy, which was what I was worried he was going to do. But I guess he got distracted at some point, or was more concerned with, like, you know, securing this gold pile, which again, like, there's a gold pile here. I guess he had gold in this base, but there was really no reason to become so preoccupied with that. He didn't really build any forward defenses or anything to keep the ground once he got it. He was just kind of relying on his powerful horse archers and hand cannons to continuously wipe out my units, and I guess hopefully break my spirit. However, I held on because I knew I had a lot of income coming, and as long as he didn't actually make a move into my territory to destroy my economy, I knew that the French heaps would win the day. It's not enough, of course, that they have a lot of health. They do a lot of damage. They're very imposing. Any civ having keeps on the map is great because it means that you essentially own that area within the range of the keep. However, French keeps also have this nice bonus of being perfect for building forward bases, because you can surround them with up to a maximum of 12 production buildings, and build your units at an incredibly cheap rate. See up here, we have more of the exact same thing. I've got 3 siege workshops up. It's a little late to the party, but I do make some extra cannons and have them march up. And on green side on the right, he's doing a great job, honestly, at just tying up yellow and red. He's really, honestly, just bringing it to them. If I was yellow and red, I would be... I understand why they didn't come to help blue, because if either of them would have backed out, Green's army would have just done so much better. And I think the thing is honestly, it's just that Green mixed up more than one kind of unit. I noticed that blue and yellow only made heavy cavalry the entire game, which, you know, as a French player, I can sympathize with that. Knights are absolutely fantastic, but you need to have some diversity when it comes to the ultra late game, because spears are just so good at killing cavalry. They actually do more damage to a knight than like a... You know, they do about the same amount of damage that a knight's charge would do to another knight with every attack. And they're incredibly cheap. And especially when you have... Oh dear. When you have 12 barracks and 11... Yeah, that's a lot of barracks, right? So 12 barracks, you can pump those out, and it's still not going to cost you a lot of resources. And best of all, it's not gold, it's all food, which you can get infinitely, and wood, which wood, even, this isn't even the most, like, wooded map, but there's plenty of wood up for grabs, and you don't have to set up anything, fancy, like a market or whatnot, in order to get gold. Which, yeah. Those French traders really pulling it in right now. One last player to knock out, which is red, and there was a lot going on in this match. It obviously did not capture all of it. I will tell you that when I was playing this game, of course, you can't see inside the map everything, so like, you know, red and blue and yellow all came off to be very, very, very worthy opponents. Although in the end we did win, and with a 15,000 score, I'm going to be frank, the biggest reason why I ended the match for such a massive score is just because I never actually activated my guild hall until about 50 minutes in, and I got like 12,000 gold from that, so that was a big boost to... That was at the point where I didn't even really need gold, so I'd say that that massive score is probably just due to me having an excess gold in my coffers. But in the end, it was a very exciting game, and blue had me on my toes. It really felt like a satisfying victory. So, you know, I would say that even though the enemies weren't necessarily what you would expect in a pro game, they definitely put up a good fight, and they were more than a match for myself and my allies at our skill level. So I recorded this game for everybody to enjoy. If you are not me or my friends that I'm sharing this video with and you watch this, I hope you enjoyed it. I imagine I will record a few more games because I do want to just get into the habit of doing that every once in a while, talking over them. It's fun. It's fun to record a video and just kind of rant about what's going on and pretend you're one of those big fancy YouTuber types. And yeah, not a whole lot else to say. I hope you enjoyed the video.